Ladies, imagine this. You walk into a room and heads turn, not just because of how you look, but because of the energy you carry. Your confidence is magnetic, your standards are unshakable, and your life reflects the respect you demand. That, right there, is the power of a high-value woman. And guess what? She isn't born, she's built. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not just to check your outfit or fix your hair, but to truly see yourself. The woman staring back at you with all her dreams, her scars, her victories, and her silent battles. That reflection holds the key to everything you will ever become. Because the foundation of a high-value woman isn't built on external validation, it's rooted in an unshakable knowing of her worth. This isn't about ego or arrogance. It's about a deep, unwavering recognition that you are not an option, a placeholder, or a backup plan. You're the main event. A high-value woman doesn't wait for someone else to tell her she's enough. She already knows. And that knowing changes everything. It changes how she walks into a room, how she negotiates her salary, how she loves, and most importantly, how she allows herself to be loved. So how does this kind of self-assurance you develop? It starts with a decision, a conscious choice, to stop shrinking, to stop downplaying your brilliance for the comfort of others. Think about the last time you hesitated before speaking up in a meeting, or the moment you let someone disrespect you because you didn't want to seem difficult. A high-value woman doesn't silence herself to make others feel bigger. She speaks with clarity, not because she's entitled, but because she understands that her voice matters just as much as anyone else's. This level of self-worth also means you stop bargaining for basic respect. You don't stick around hoping a partner will change, a boss will finally recognize your hard work, or friends will start treating you better. You set the standard up front, and if they can't meet it, you keep it moving. So many women exhaust themselves trying to convince people to value them, when the truth is those who are meant to be in your life will rise to your level. The right opportunities, the right relationships, they will align when you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. But here's where it gets real. Knowing your worth isn't just about how others treat you. It's about how you treat yourself. It's the small, daily choices that reinforce your value. It's saying no to that last-minute request that disrupts your peace. It's refusing to engage in gossip or negativity because you respect your energy too much. It's investing in yourself, whether that's therapy, education, or simply rest, without guilt. A high-value woman doesn't apologize for prioritizing herself because she knows she can't pour from an empty cup. And let's talk about love, because this is where so many women compromise. A high-value woman doesn't chase, she doesn't convince, she doesn't stick around for breadcrumbs of affection while ignoring red flags. She understands that love shouldn't feel like a constant battle for attention or respect. If a man, or anyone for that matter, doesn't see her value, she doesn't waste time trying to prove it. She simply walks away, knowing that the right person will meet her where she stands. This isn't about being cold or unapproachable. It's about having standards so solid that you'd rather be alone than disrespected. And that's the magic. When you truly know your worth, you attract people who recognize it too. You stop attracting chaos and start attracting connections that honor you. Now let's address a common fear. The worry that owning your worth will make you seem too much. Too confident, too independent, too demanding. But think about it, when a man buys a luxury car, he doesn't complain about the high price tag. He understands that quality comes at a value. The same applies to you. The right people won't be intimidated by your standards, they'll respect them. So how do you solidify this unshakable sense of worth? It starts with self-awareness. Take inventory of your strengths, your accomplishments, and even your struggles, because surviving those struggles made you stronger. Affirm yourself daily, not just with words, but with actions that reflect self-respect. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, not those who make you question yourself. And most importantly, forgive yourself for the times you've settled in the past. Growth isn't about regret, it's about evolving. At the end of the day, a high-value woman isn't defined by her relationship status, her job title, or her appearance. She's defined by the way she carries herself. The quiet confidence that says, I know who I am and I will not be diminished. That energy is irresistible. It opens doors, attracts opportunities, and commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. So I'll leave you with this. The world will try to tell you what you're worth through societal expectations, through other people's opinions, through outdated norms. But you get to decide. And once you do, once you truly embrace your value without apology, everything changes. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't rise, she reigns. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that the most important relationship she will ever nurture is the one she has with herself. Not with a partner, not with her career, not even with her family, but with her. Because when a woman truly invests in herself, her mind, her body, and her spirit, she doesn't just change her circumstances, she transforms her entire existence. This isn't about vanity or superficial self-improvement. It's about recognizing that you are the foundation of everything you wish to build. You cannot pour into others if your own cup is empty. You cannot give what you do not possess. A high-value woman understands this at the deepest level, which is why she prioritizes her own growth with the same dedication she gives to the people and passions she loves. Let's start with the mind, because everything begins there. The thoughts you feed yourself shape your reality. A high-value woman doesn't consume mental junk food, endless scrolling, toxic narratives, or self-limiting beliefs. She curates her mental space like a sacred garden, planting seeds of knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration. She reads books that expand her thinking, listens to podcasts that challenge her perspectives, and engages in conversations that stimulate her intellect. She understands that learning doesn't stop when formal education ends. It's a lifelong commitment, but knowledge alone isn't enough. A sharp mind must be paired with emotional intelligence. She doesn't shy away from self-reflection or the hard work of healing. She faces her past traumas not as a victim, but as a woman reclaiming her power. Therapy isn't a sign of weakness to her, it's an act of strength. She knows that unresolved pain will seep into every area of her life if left unaddressed, so she does the inner work no matter how uncomfortable. Because a woman who understands her emotions controls her destiny. Now, let's talk about the body, the vessel that carries you through this life. A high-value woman doesn't punish her body with extreme diets or neglect. She honors it. She moves it in ways that feel good, whether that's yoga, dancing, weightlifting, or long walks in nature. She feeds it nourishing foods, not out of restriction, but out of respect. She rests when she's tired, listens to her body's signals, and dresses in a way that makes her feel confident, not confined by trends or others' expectations. This isn't about achieving some unrealistic standard of beauty. It's about recognizing that your body is your lifelong companion, the only one you'll ever have. When you treat it with care, it rewards you with energy, vitality, and resilience. A high-value woman doesn't compare herself to others because she knows her body is unique with its own strengths and story. She celebrates what it can do rather than obsessing over how it looks. And then there's the spirit. the essence of who you are beyond titles and roles. A high-value woman nurtures her spirit through practices that connect her to something greater than herself. For some, that's prayer or meditation. For others, it's journaling, spending time in nature, or creating art. Whatever the form, she makes space for stillness in a noisy world. She understands that true fulfillment doesn't come from external achievements alone, but from inner peace. This spiritual investment also means aligning with her purpose. She doesn't just drift through life, reacting to whatever comes her way. She lives intentionally, making choices that resonate with her deepest values. She asks herself, does this job, this relationship, this decision reflect who I am and who I want to become? If the answer is no, she has the courage to pivot. Because a woman who is connected to her spirit doesn't fear change. She embraces it as part of her evolution. Of course, self-investment requires resources, time, energy, and sometimes money. A high-value woman doesn't see these as expenses. She sees them as investments. She budgets for the gym membership, the course, the retreat, or the therapist because she knows that spending on her growth pays dividends in every area of her life. She also guards her time fiercely, saying no to distractions that drain her and yes to experiences that enrich her. But here's the most beautiful part. When a woman invests in herself, she gives others permission to do the same. Her children learn self-respect by watching her. Her friends are inspired to pursue their own growth. Her partner, if she chooses to have one, meets a woman who is whole on her own, not looking for someone to complete her. And that's the kind of love that thrives. Two complete people choosing each other, not out of need, but out of desire. So I challenge you to ask yourself, where have you been neglecting you? Have you been feeding your mind with growth or garbage? Have you been treating your body with kindness or criticism? Have you been nurturing your spirit or ignoring its whispers? Because the woman you'll be a year from now depends entirely on what you do today. Investing in yourself isn't selfish, it's the highest form of self-respect. And when you commit to that, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting for external validation because you realize the most important approval comes from within. You stop settling in relationships because you know your own company is priceless. You stop fearing the future because you trust in the woman you're becoming. This is the secret of high-value women everywhere. They don't chase success, love, or happiness. They cultivate it from the inside out. And you, my dear, are just one decision away from beginning that journey. The question is, are you ready to invest in the masterpiece that is you? There comes a pivotal moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that love, whether for others or for herself, cannot exist without boundaries. Not as walls to keep people out, but as sacred gates that determine who and what deserves access to her precious energy. This realization marks the difference between a woman who is constantly drained and one who radiates strength. The difference between existing for others and truly living for herself. Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you care about, a partner, a friend, a family member, and they say or do something that makes your spirit recoil. In that moment, you have a choice. The old you might swallow your discomfort, laugh it off, or make excuses for them. But the high-value version of yourself? She pauses. She breathes. And with the calm certainty of a woman who knows her worth, she speaks her truth, not with anger, but with the quiet power of someone who will no longer tolerate what diminishes her light. This is where true transformation begins. Because boundaries aren't about controlling others, they're about honoring yourself. They're the love letters you write to your future self, promising her that you'll no longer abandon her needs to please people who wouldn't do the same for you. A high-value woman understands that every time she says yes, when she means no, she chips away at her self-respect. But when she stands firm in her boundaries, even when her voice shakes, she builds an unshakable foundation of self-trust. Let's be honest, setting boundaries can feel terrifying at first. We worry about being seen as difficult, selfish, or cold. We fear rejection or conflict. But here's the profound truth. The people who truly care about you won't just respect your boundaries, they'll admire you for having them. They'll recognize that a woman who values herself is someone worth valuing, and those who protest or guilt trip you, they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries, and their discomfort says everything about their intentions and nothing about your worth. Consider how boundaries show up in different areas of life. In relationships, they mean walking away at the first sign of disrespect rather than waiting for it to escalate. At work, they mean not answering emails at midnight or taking on others' responsibilities without compensation. With family, they mean ending conversations that turn toxic or manipulative. Each boundary you set is like planting a flag in the ground of your life, declaring, "This is where I end and you begin." The magic happens when you realize that boundaries aren't restrictions, they're actually the gateway to deeper, more authentic connections. When you stop people-pleasing, you attract relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. When you stop overgiving, you create space for others to step up and meet you halfway. And perhaps most importantly, when you model healthy boundaries, you give other women permission to do the same, creating ripples of empowerment that extend far beyond yourself. Of course, maintaining boundaries requires practice and courage. There will be moments of self-doubt, especially if you're unlearning a lifetime of conditioning that taught you to prioritize others' comfort over your own peace. This is where self-awareness becomes your superpower. Notice when resentment builds, it's often a sign you've neglected a boundary. Pay attention to that sinking feeling in your stomach. It's your intuition signaling a violation. These are the moments to pause and ask, what do I need to honor in myself right now? A high-value woman also understands that boundaries must be paired with self-accountability. You can't blame others for overstepping if you haven't clearly communicated your limits. This is where many women stumble. We expect people to read our minds, then feel hurt when they don't. But true empowerment comes from clearly, calmly stating your needs without apology, not with aggression, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that her needs are valid simply because they're hers. There's an art to boundary setting that transcends mere rules. It's about developing a keen sense of discernment, that intuitive knowing of who deserves access to your energy and who doesn't. Some people will only ever meet you on a surface level, and that's okay. They don't get the VIP access to your heart and mind. Others prove through consistent actions that they're worthy of your deepest trust. A high-value woman doesn't waste time trying to change people's capacity to meet her standards. She simply observes, evaluates, and adjusts access accordingly. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of boundary work is how it transforms your relationship with yourself. Each time you honor your boundaries, you reinforce the most important message of all: I matter. Not more than others, but just as much. And from this place of self-respect, you naturally begin to attract people and opportunities that reflect your worth back to you. The energy vampires fade away, the half-hearted lovers stop calling, the disrespectful coworkers think twice. Not because you've changed them, but because this is the paradox of boundaries. What initially feels like protection becomes the foundation for your greatest growth. The space you create by saying no to what drains you becomes the fertile ground where your best self can flourish. The relationships you refine through boundaries become your safe harbors in life's storms. And the woman who emerges, she moves through the world with a new kind of confidence. Not the loud, performative kind, but the deep, unshakable knowing that comes from having your own back. So I invite you to begin today. Start small if you need to. That text you don't want to answer, leave it for tomorrow. That favor that would inconvenience you, decline with grace. That conversation that makes you feel small, change the subject or walk away. Each time you choose yourself, you strengthen your boundary muscles, and over time, what once felt uncomfortable becomes second nature, the natural expression of a woman who knows that her peace is non-negotiable. Remember, beautiful one, boundaries aren't about building walls. They're about learning where your garden ends and where others begins, and tending to your own flowers with the devotion they deserve. Because the world needs women who are full, not depleted. Women who give from overflow, not emptiness. Women who love deeply but never at the cost of themselves. This is the way of the high-value woman, and it begins with a single powerful word, enough. There exists a quiet revolution happening in the lives of women who have stopped waiting for permission to shine. These are the women who understand that potential is merely the starting point. What truly matters is the daily decision to act, to build, to become. This is where ordinary existence ends and extraordinary living begins, not through luck or chance, but through the deliberate cultivation of purpose. Imagine waking up each morning with a fire in your belly that no disappointment can extinguish. This isn't fantasy. It's the reality of women who have aligned their daily actions with their deepest callings. They've moved beyond wishing and into creating, beyond one day and into today. The transformation begins when we stop seeing purpose as some far-off destination and start recognizing it as the very path beneath our feet with each intentional step we take. So many brilliant women remain trapped in the prison of almost ready, almost qualified, almost fearless. But here's the truth that will set you free. Purpose isn't found in perfection. It's forged in the messy, glorious process of showing up as you are and allowing experience to shape you. That business idea you've been sitting on, the book whispering to your soul, the change you want to see in your community, these aren't just passing thoughts, they're sacred assignments meant specifically for you. Consider the anatomy of a high-value woman's daily routine. While others hit snooze, she rises to claim the quiet hours before the world makes demands. While others complain about circumstances, she's busy creating new ones. Her secret isn't superhuman discipline. It's the profound understanding that time is the only currency we can't earn back. Each morning she asks herself, what can I do today that will move me closer to the woman I'm destined to become? Then she does it, whether she feels inspired or not. This is where most people get it wrong. They believe motivation must precede action, when in truth, the high-value woman knows this intimately. She doesn't wait for the perfect conditions because she understands that perfect is the enemy of progress. That first draft doesn't need to be brilliant. It needs to exist. That business doesn't need to be flawless. It needs to launch. That dream doesn't need guarantees. It needs your courageous yes. Yet purpose without resilience is like a sailboat without an anchor, easily tossed by every storm. The women who leave lasting marks on the world aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who develop the art of rising. Each rejection becomes redirection. Each failure becomes data. Each closed door becomes proof of their willingness to knock. Where others see dead ends, they find detours. Because a woman aligned with her purpose understands there are no true failures, only lessons wearing disguises. There's a sacred balance to this journey. Fierce determination on one hand, radical self-compassion on the other. Too much pushing leads to burnout. Too much patience leads to stagnation. The high-value woman walks this tightrope with grace, knowing when to power through and when to pause. She measures progress not by comparison to others, but by how far she's come from her own starting point. Her competition isn't the women around her, it's the woman she was yesterday. Financial independence forms the backbone of this purposeful existence, not as an end goal, but as the means to fund her freedom and impact. She builds multiple streams of income, not out of greed, but out of the understanding that money is energy. The more she has, the more good she can do. Whether through investments, entrepreneurship, or climbing the corporate ladder, she ensures her financial foundation is solid enough to support her dreams rather than undermine them. But purpose extends beyond personal achievement. The truly high-value woman leaves trails of light wherever she goes. She understands that her gifts aren't just for her, they're meant to be shared. The mentor who guided her becomes the mentor she becomes for others. The opportunities she's given become opportunities she creates. Her success isn't complete until it becomes a ladder she holds down for the women coming up behind her. This is how legacies are built, not through solitary conquests, but through interconnected growth. The world will try to distract you from this path. It will flood you with messages that you should want less, be less, dream smaller. Social media will show you highlight reels while hiding the struggle. People will call you unrealistic, right up until the moment your vision becomes undeniable. Reality. Through it all, the high-value woman keeps her eyes on the horizon of her own making. She filters advice through the lens of her own truth. She celebrates others without diminishing herself. At its core, living with purpose is about becoming the heroine of your own story, rather than a supporting character in someone else's. It's about recognizing that you weren't put on this earth to play small or stay safe. Those butterflies in your stomach when you consider your biggest dreams? That's not fear. It's your soul recognizing the magnitude of what's possible for you. The high-value woman doesn't silence those feelings. She follows them like breadcrumbs, leading her home to herself. So I ask you, what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? What cause makes your heart beat faster? What problem keeps you up at night because you know you're meant to solve it? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're the map to your most fulfilled life. The world doesn't need more women who fit neatly into expectations. It needs women bold enough to build their own tables rather than waiting for seats at someone else's. Your purpose isn't out there waiting to be discovered. It's within you, waiting to be unleashed. Through action, through persistence, through the daily choice to show up as the woman who both dreams and does. This is how ordinary women become extraordinary, not by magic, but by the courageous decision to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it instead. The time is now. The woman is you. The world is waiting. So starting today, walk like the queen you are. Speak like your words shape destinies. Love like your heart is both soft and unbreakable. Because a high-value woman isn't defined by what she has, it's who she chooses to be. And that woman is you. Thank you.